of all, obviously every time we play Austin Peay, we know it's going to be a hard-fought game. They're very well coached, they're disciplined, and this year they're arguably the most talented team in our league. So we knew we'd be in for a battle. I thought that our guys did a very good job, in particular in Tyshawn Edmondson, who I think is arguably the best guard in our league. We did a good job of limiting them to one shot. They had 10 offensive rebounds, but they've been averaging 13. And I thought that we did a pretty good job on the offensive end of the floor, 50% clip, and we worked off Kenneth. We knew they would double him. We had some inside-out threes off our rotations when they did double the post. So we played pretty well. Maybe arguably our best game today.
Talk about how your guys fed off Kenneth, and they just followed him all the way through.
Well, I say this all the time. It's a lot of pressure on Kenneth Fareed because there's no doubt he's our best player. There's no doubt he's the best player in the league. But for our team to win, he can't play just good. He really, a lot of times, can't even be very good. He has to play great, and a lot of times him playing great is solely predicated on his energy level. Very seldom is it not high, but when it's not high, we can't win. And that's a lot of pressure for a young guy. But his energy level was incredible tonight. Just as you mentioned, our guys feed off that. They thrive off that. And when they see the big fella with that energy and that enthusiasm, they rise up with them.
Donnie, what makes him such an effective rebounder? I mean, what do you see as a coach that kind of stands out?
Well, I just think it's great coaching. I mean, everything I've taught him over 40 years, he's got into the game. But, he has that innate ability to know where the ball's going to come off, number one. Number two, his second jump is incredible. He jumps quicker and higher with his second jump than most people do with their first. And then the third thing is his hands are incredible. If he gets his hand on the ball, it's his. And I'm talking other guys can have two hands on it, but if he gets one on it, it's his. And those three things probably make him, the best rebounder in the country.
And Coach Luce said Fareed's not just the best rebounder he's ever seen in the OVC. He said the best rebounder he's seen, period.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to end up being the all-time career leader in modern time. He'll pass Tim Duncan, so for Coach Luce to say that, that's certainly a kind compliment, and I would have to agree with him. I mean, he's going to end up passing Tim Duncan, and you look at that list of Duncan and Lionel Simmons and guys like that, that's pretty impressive.
And not a bad weekend for you guys, knocked out both first-place teams on your homestand.
Well, I think, James, that, we feel like we're one of the better teams in the league. We're certainly not saying we're the best team in the league, but we feel like we're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in our league. Certainly being on your home floor helps, and we play well with our home crowd behind us. And, that's something I think needs to be mentioned. When you think about Murray State, we had over 4,000. Eastern Kentucky right at 6,000. Tonight right at 5,000. I mean, you're talking about 15,000 fans in this building over 3 games. There were many years, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, they weren't getting 15,000 fans for the season. So our community and our fan support has been a huge part of our success. Huge part.
What do you think of the OVC race? Obviously, last year Murray was a notch above everyone else and proved it in the NCAA tournament by what they did. But what do you think of this year? With it seems like there's a bunch of good teams, but not necessarily no super teams.
Yeah, I think the league is very balanced, James. I think it's probably the most balanced it's been, 1 through probably 7. I mean, when you look at a team like Eastern Illinois, who goes to Murray and wins, and in my opinion could get on a roll and win the OVC tournament, and they're in 6th or 7th place. Tennessee Tech goes to Peay and wins, and they're in 5th or 6th place. Eastern Kentucky comes in here and beats us, and they're in 5th place. So, I mean, it's just very, very balanced, and I think a lot of it depends on who shoots the ball well on a given night. When Eastern Kentucky shoots it well, they're hard to beat. When we shoot it well, we're hard to beat. Those 3 guards at Murray, if they're shooting it well, they're probably unbeatable. So it's a very balanced league heading into February. It's really wide open, not just the regular season, but certainly heading into the tournament.
What about Drew Kelly? I know you had high hopes for him. He got off to that slow start. If he plays the way he did tonight, is he maybe the little nudge that maybe gets you guys over the top?
Yeah, I think so, Mike. And, early when he was playing, we lost a couple games and he wasn't playing real well. And I know some people were probably questioning me as to why are you sticking with this guy? You're throwing him in the rotation ahead of some other guys. And, you know, I knew what he could do based on practice for a year. And I coached enough guys that had had to sit out a year over my career. It takes time, and it just takes time. It's hard to explain, but to get used to the tempo of the game, live referee action. He hadn't played since his senior year of high school, so I knew he was going to be fine. It would take a little time. I had to let him play through some mistakes, and tonight, you know, he gets almost a double-double against a really good team.
Coach, you only shot 10 threes tonight, but you outscore Austin Peay in the paint 42-28. Was that the game plan, was to just pound it?
Yeah, you know, we wanted to drive them, not just post feed to Kenneth, because we knew they would double him every time. We certainly wanted to throw it to Kenneth and play off him, but we really wanted to drive the basketball, have good spacing on the perimeter, and I thought we did that. You know, guys like DeMonte Harper drove it, Ty Profit drove it some, Sam drove it a couple times and got fouled. And, you know, that's important when they're going to key on Kenneth and load up on him. Your other guys have to drive the ball, whether it's for themselves or creating draw and kick opportunities. And we drew and kicked out to Terrence Hill a couple times for threes. And so, yeah, that was a big part of our game plan tonight, Tanner.
Kenneth give you a scare when it looked like he might go in for a dunk after the whistle?
You know, it's what I say about Kenneth. If you know him like I know him, he's such a phenomenal kid. You know, he's out there having fun, you know, and he does that, and then he gives the ball to the ref, and then he looks over at me like, I got you, I wasn't going to dunk it. And, you know, it's kind of showmanship, but it's just an example of his charisma and his personality shining through. And, you know, our home fans only have 2 more games to enjoy him, so they've come out in droves the last couple nights, but they really ought to load up and be here the last 2 home games to watch that kid, because he's a special guy.
You ever see a guy get a delayed game for a one-handed dunk?
Yeah, no, I haven't. But excuse me, you know, they did warn us, and as he was coming down, he said he thought he was getting undercut, so he kind of just moved his arm and hit the ball. So he said.
Anybody else?
All right.